It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a nasty Wednesday in Nashville. The people that do the weather got it right because it is cold. It's not anything like the last couple of days. But in spite of the nasty weather, we got a good show for you today. We'll be joined in a few moments by Titans head coach Brian Callahan. Talk to him at the Combine in Indy. Hopefully you'll learn some things out of that interview. And then later on, Mark McGee will join us, and we will talk about the surging Nashville Predators. 6 in a row. I was really worried about last night going in, but they really took care of business. Hats off to them. Billy, how are you?
I'm good.
You went last night. Were you surprised?
Honestly, a little bit, just because like we talked about, I think, you win 5 games on the road, that you got to come back home. Do you have gas left in the tank? And they did. And the Senators aren't a bad team either. I mean, this wasn't the Sharks or the Ducks, the last leg of that road trip. But yeah, I mean, Preds keep rolling, and for them, they've got a big one Thursday in Minnesota, not in Minnesota, against Minnesota.
Yeah. Game 2 of a 5-game homestand. Let's go to Murfreesboro. Say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
Good, George. Thanks for the weather report. It's awesome.
You're welcome. It's always good to keep people informed. That's part of what the Federal Communications Commission would like us to do, to serve in the public interest.
Correct. Well, you're doing it, so they should be happy.
Yes, I'm sure they are. So did you see Max Strus's, they've called it a 59-footer at the buzzer last night, back behind half-court shot, where Cleveland beat, trying to think who is it, Dallas is who they beat.
Yep.
Did you see it?
I did not, man. I'm not. I'm not in tune to. I got to get more in tune, I guess, to the NBA. But I'm just not that guy.
Okay. During the commercial, Google it up and look it up. Check it out, because it's pretty sweet. Billy, you saw it?
I did, and I'm kind of with Kelly. I don't really watch the NBA, to be honest. But, I mean, I did. That was the big highlight last night.
Well, yeah, because it's a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even half court. That was like three-quarter court. Yeah. He took a big leap.
Oh, he had to.
And there was, 2.5?
Yeah,
Dallas,
something like that.
Dallas had just hit a dagger. They thought they're going to win at that point. And then Strus chucks up a three-quarter court shot. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But yeah, I'm with Kelly. The last few years I just haven't really watched the NBA for whatever reason.
I watch the playoff games. I mean, I watch the NBA playoffs because now there's something to play for. But you get these teams that are young. It's in the and all they want to do is score. And they got a coach that understands that. They don't want to play defense. They're kind of like the Kentucky Wildcats right now. Yeah. They just want to score, and they don't want to play defense.
So I didn't see the game live, but when I got home, it was the lead thing on SportsCenter. And, you could call it, I think it's fair to say, the shot of the year in the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there hadn't been anything like that. Dallas had just scored with 2 seconds left. They think they're going to get a win in Cleveland, and boom. And the Dallas announcer's reaction was, oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. He kept saying, oh, no.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Bench reaction, too, like the slow-mo as the shot went in, the faces were just stunned.
Priceless, yeah.
George, I just saw something on. Sorry, Billy, but I just saw something you guys on that's coming on the ACC network where your boy Wes Durham interviewed Coach K and Roy Williams. That'll be pretty cool.
Oh, that will be cool. I think they had a respect for each other. I don't think there's a lot of Carolina and Duke love. I think they tolerate each other, and that's about the best you can say.
Yeah.
Dean Smith and Krzyzewski, especially early, really had some moments. And there was a point where Krzyzewski basically told him, listen, we're not going away.
Wow.
Because
he was right.
A lot
right.
A lot of people believed that Dean Smith, when he was at Carolina, would sort of bait referees. Look what he's doing. You know, would apparently talk to opposing players about too rough a play. Rick Barnes is one of them he got into it with, and the commissioner of the ACC called Barnes and Dean Smith to his house where supposedly they had a cocktail and cooled off.
Well, I'm sure cocktails usually do that.
Yeah, I guess.
Especially if you have a few.
If you say so.
No, you say so. You know so.
I don't really know. I mean, Billy, do you have an update?
I do.
That's wonderful.
Kelly brought up the Kentucky Wildcats. They had a big win last night in Starkville, 91-89. Reed Shepherd, 32 points.
Wow.
And he had the game winner, I guess you could say. There was still like 0.5 seconds left after he hit it, but he hit a nice floater in the lane there to win it. And that's a big win for Kentucky. They hadn't really proven they can win on the road, at least consistently. You know, they've gotten some road wins, but like Mississippi State's a really good team. I mean, they're top half of the league. They beat Tennessee at home earlier this season. So for Kentucky to go in there and win last night, I think was huge.
Did that game go to OT?
No, it was close.
That was in regulation?
Yeah, it was 89-89. Kentucky was down big for most of the first half, and then they kind of battled back. And, they ended up winning. It was tied at 89 with 5 seconds left. Shepherd gets it and drills a floater. So
interesting.
Cats get a big win. They see if they can keep it rolling. Vandy somehow beat Arkansas. I don't – at this point, it's more impressive, like, the fact that the opponent beats Vanderbilt. Like, how does that – I know Vanderbilt's not – they've got some talent, but, I mean, for you to lose a game to Vanderbilt at home, this Vanderbilt team, I think that says a lot about how poorly coached Arkansas is.
Well, there's bound to be some locker room issue.
Absolutely.
Musselman didn't suddenly get stupid. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that appeared to be a very effective coach for the first couple of years he was there. And now all of a sudden, and really it's been this way from the beginning of the conference schedule, where his players have looked very disinterested. And I don't know where this is going, but I mean, I think in that state, as important as that is, this hit rock bottom for them last night. I mean, it's a good win for Vandy. Any win is a good win, although personally, I will continue to say what I've been saying. The horse is long since out of the barn. And, 3 conference wins is not acceptable. And it shouldn't be acceptable. No. It's a little too late for all this.
Yeah, don't y'all think, like, looking to Arkansas, though, don't y'all think that this is going to start happening more with all this NIL and this transfer portal stuff, where a team is like the Musselman guys got them deep into the NCAA tournament a couple of times.
Right.
And now it's just gone bad so quick. And don't you think we'll start seeing this a little bit more? Because one bad apple can mess up the whole batch of apples, and that seems like what's happened down there. Now, I don't know who that would be, but they're too good to play the way that they played this year.
They look very disinterested at times.
Correct. Yeah.
And I don't know about last night. I didn't see it.
I really didn't. I mean, I watched kind of the end of it on my phone because I was at the Preds game. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't know that these wins don't matter really for Vanderbilt. At least they shouldn't matter. I mean, they're now 8-20, 3-12 in the SEC. They've got LSU at home on Saturday. Jordan Wright, former Commodore, he's coming home to play them Saturday. Or he's actually from LSU, from Louisiana. But LSU beat Georgia last night. Another good game, 67-66. So LSU is not going to make the tournament. They're playing well, and they're kind of closing strong here in a good year for Matt McMahon at LSU. At least better than they have been, because they haven't had very good years the last few years. Tonight, Auburn and Tennessee. That one's in Knoxville, 6 o'clock. Tennessee,
Big time.
Tennessee favored by 7.5. So they are a team that I don't think you want to play at home. I mean,
that's what Vegas is telling you.
Yeah, they're 13-1 at home. And Auburn may or may not be with Jalen Williams. They're one of their better players, so that's in question. So you got to look out for that. Alabama and Ole Miss tonight, 8 o'clock, ESPN2. That one's down in Ole Miss. Ole Miss kind of their last gasp here to try to stay alive in the tournament berth.
Ole Miss got to win tonight.
Yeah,
they've got to show the committee something special, and beating Bama fits that bill to keep them alive. I think they got to win.
Yep. Yeah, they have to. And meanwhile, Alabama's coming off that loss to Kentucky, so I don't think this isn't when you want to play Alabama.
No, you'll catch them at full attention.
Yeah. Source in the NFL.
And the other one, you may have said it. South Carolina A&M.
Carolina and A&M
to
as
me,
well.
This is also A&M's got to win this game. I mean,
yeah, I don't think A&M's a tournament team right now.
I don't think they are either. If they're going to be, something's got to turn around, and I would suggest it be quickly. Quickly.
Yeah, I don't see them getting in. I know Taylor likes them and said he could see them as a kind of one of the Dayton teams. I mean, who knows? I don't think they're playing. And they've had some bad losses this year.
I'm going to stick to my Dayton thing. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, A&M. One of the three will end up in Dayton.
I like it. Let's see here.
What's
Chiefs.
that worth? Nothing.
The Kansas City Chiefs have released Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, and apparently they're saving $12 million. So whatever that's worth. Snead.
$12 million.
Yep. This move comes after the Chiefs informed L'Jarius Sneed they were prepared to use the franchise tag on him. So I think there were a lot of Titans fans maybe looking at Sneed as a guy potentially they could get, but Chiefs tagged him yesterday. Let's see here. The Jets have given quarterback Zach Wilson permission to seek a trade.
Good luck.
I feel so bad for that young kid too, man. I really do. I think there's something there, but like, hey, we talked about it yesterday. I think that you got to be a different cat to go to New York,
yes,
and handle that media. And if you don't play good, and if you don't, I mean, it's just I don't know. And then his mom has kind of hurt the situation as well when she gets on social media talking about her sonny boy and doing all that. You just can't do that as when you're a professional athlete.
Do you think an NFL team bites on him?
I think he'll go somewhere because I think he's got some talent, but he's going to have to. It's going to have to be like a Ryan Tannehill deal when he came here behind Marcus Mariota, and he bided his time, and he was able to get on the field again. I think that's what it's going to have to be. He's going to have to go in and be somebody's backup, and if he gets the opportunity to play, he's going to have to go in and play good and kind of, recapture his resume a little bit, get back up there, and I think that's how that'll happen if it does happen.
We've also got some draft stuff. USC's Caleb Williams bluntly addressed some rumors that he won't play for the Bears. He came out and said yesterday that he'd be really excited to play for the Bears if they take him at number 1. All this draft stuff, to me, you just can't really believe a lot of it. Like the Titans, for example, they talked a lot about kind of hinting at drafting a receiver potentially. Receiver is the most important position, for us right now, yada, yada, yada. Well, kind of reminds me of Caleb Williams. I mean, yeah, he could be excited he could say publicly he's excited to go play for the Bears, but deep down, does he really going to want to go play in Chicago in that mess?
A lot of wheeling and dealing right now.
It's all smoke
behind the
screens,
scenes.
Billy.
Yes.
All smoke screens, homie.
Yeah, and it's a lot for the fans too. I mean, for the fans to get excited for.
It's hot stove league.
Yeah.
That's the NFL has gotten to the point where it's a year-round sport, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay. After the break, we go to Indy. This was an interview that we taped yesterday morning with new Titans coach Brian Callahan. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's coming up next.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Okay, we're back. As most of you know, Brian Callahan has been on the job for about a month as the head coach of the Titans. That's sort of where we started the interview, so here goes. Brian, first of all, welcome to Nashville. I know you've been asked this question several times, but now it's been 30 days. What's it been like?
It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. It's been everything I thought it would be. Excited about every day when I wake up to get in the building, but it's been busy. There's been a lot to do, a lot of things to get covered, a lot of things to get finalized, with the coaching staff, with the schemes. So all those things have been really good, but never felt like it's been too much, never been overwhelmed at any point. It's been really enjoyable. I've had a good time.
Yeah. So I'm guessing here that when you've got coaching openings, that 50,000 people that reach out and say, I'm available. How do you sift through all that?
It's hard. I mean, we've all been, as in the coaching community, everyone's been out of work or looking for a job. And so I don't take it lightly. I try to be respectful. I try to be honest with guys if I have a spot for them or they be in consideration. And if they're not, I try to tell them right away. So there's not a whole lot of conjecture on their part on whether they have a chance or not. So try to be respectful of that process. We've all been there. But ultimately, it does get overwhelming when it comes to the amount of people that reach out. If I don't have a personal relationship with one of those guys, I usually tend to struggle to respond sometimes. But yeah, it's 50,000 might be an understatement. It might be a whole lot more. There's been a lot.
So one of your hires was your dad. And I'll admit, it gave me a chuckle because I kind of sat there and said, okay, if my dad and I worked together, what would be the end result? And I came to the conclusion we'd have killed each other. But I'm curious, what's it like? Because it's a different dynamic when the younger one is the head coach and the father is on his staff. What do you think that's going to be like?
So far, it's been incredible. It's been really fun. My dad and I get along really well. One of the things I think is important for him and I is that I obviously have a ton of respect for how he goes about his job, and he's one of the best that does it in the NFL. And so I give him his time and space to do his job that way. And I think that's an important part. I'm not bossing him around by any stretch, if you know what I mean. Like he's as good as they come, and I trust him to do his job at the level he's always done it. So I don't have any, we won't have any issues, him and I, when it comes to that. And again, we really enjoy being around each other. It's kind of a dream come true to see him every day and be able to sit in his office and have coffee with him. And he's got so much experience for me to lean on that part's been really fun, and I've really enjoyed having him around.
Because everybody that knows him has said, look, he's at the top of that offensive line coach profession. What makes him so good?
His level of detail, his willingness to adapt, even as an older coach. He's always stayed on the forefront of technique, of scheme. He's always been at the front and never let the game pass him by. He's always researched and talked to people and kept evolving his techniques and how he teaches technology, all the things that you would think of an old school coach. He's not any of those. And I think that's really helped him still be able to connect with the young players these days, even being almost 67, 68 years old. He can connect with all these guys, and it's pretty unique. And, I just think that his experience with the position and knowing how to coach it and what to look for is really a huge benefit and asset to us.
So, Brian, everybody knows the strengths you bring on the offensive side. You got a young quarterback that we got to see toward the end of the season a pretty good amount. In evaluating him, what are his strengths right now, and what do you think are the things that you probably have told him, hey, these are priorities that I want you to get better at?
Yeah, you see all the things you want from the position when it comes to his demeanor on the field. He's super competitive, plays with a ton of energy. He's really tough. All of those things matter. You see his physical talent in terms of he's got great feet. He's got a really quick release. He's an accurate thrower. He's got a big arm. He can make all the requisite throws. And then part of our job this offseason is going to be get him comfortable in the scheme and try to help him get better in that intermediate passing game so we can get more out of that area of the field, the quick passing game, the patient passing game, and then being able to use his arm for those big shots down the field. So I see a lot of really great traits. There was a reason he was being talked about in the first round of last year's draft. You look at his 2021 tape and all the things he can do movement-wise, skill set wise. I mean, he's got a chance to be a really good player, and hopefully with an off season of all those reps, we can get that out of him.
And it seems like from afar that he really wants to get better.
Oh, absolutely. He's as driven as any quarterback that I've been around. He wants to be a good player. He wants to be great for the organization. He wants to be great for the city. He takes a lot of pride in that, and so having those traits innately part of who he is, to me, gives you a great chance to really take off from that spot, and that's exciting.
So this may be one you can't really totally answer, but people here love Derrick Henry. You know that. He's been a rock over the years, and there's this question mark about what's going to happen. I'm guessing he's asked you this question. If he were to come back here, what would his role be?
It'd still be the first, second down back, and I think he's going to be. He's been a great Titan. He's represented everything this franchise wants to be about. He's a phenomenal person. He's been a phenomenal player, and maybe at this point in his career, he'd be willing to take a little bit lighter load to prolong it. That's a question for him to answer. But ultimately, I think he has, earned the respect and the right to be considered really for any spot that we would have as far as his talent goes. He's going to fit whatever we want to do. I certainly could find ways to use him, but he's going to go through his process as well. And obviously that agreement has to be right financially on both sides. And so that's part of it where the discussions are ongoing, and we'll see where that ends up landing. But would never say that he can't find a role in our offense. That's for sure.
So, Brian, you all have got a great opportunity with all this salary cap money that's available to you. Was that one of the lures for you to say, yep, I want to go after the Titans?
Yeah, that was a part of the decision-making process. Obviously a team that's got room and resources to make improvements quickly, on top of the fact that I love the people that are in the building, and that was the number one factor for me. But there is asset piece that makes sense. There's a top 10 pick. There's a lot of cap room. There's ultimately going to be opportunity to improve our team quickly, and those are certainly things you look for when you're looking to take a job that has a chance to have success.
Yeah. Let me ask this. This has been a very run-first deal, and it feels like it's going to be much more of a mix with you. Is there a round peg and a square hole early, or is that an easy transition?
No, I think it's an easy transition, and we're still going to do what our team is best at. We're not just going to throw the football all over just because I want to. We're going to make sure that we're doing right by the guys we have on the roster and the positions we're putting them in. Those guys are going to have a chance to have success. We're still going to have to be a physical football team. We still want to run the ball well. Those are all traits that good teams have. We can find ways to pass the ball and be more effective. As you see every year, at the end of the year, the best teams in the league are usually the teams that throw the ball the best. And so that's going to be a part of our evolution. It might not be day one, but that's the vision. The long-range plan is to have a team that can compete both through the air and on the ground, have a good balance where our running pass game are married together really well.
Okay, last thing for you. You're in kind of Peyton Manning country. He's beloved in this area. My dealings with him certainly are not like yours were, but what I found in emceeing banquets kind of stuff with him, incredibly detail oriented. Tell me what it was like working with him.
It was probably one of my favorite times of my career. It was a PhD in quarterback play. It was a PhD in what the position requires, and he was super, super, super fun to be around. I mean, he is as funny in person in the meeting room as he is on everything he does on television. That's who he is. But the one thing that I did learn from him and saw on a daily basis is the intensity that he goes about his work when it was time to work. Really impressive. There was no stone unturned in the preparation. He's probably the greatest preparer at the quarterback position, I would say, in history. His ability to not leave anything to chance and be ultimately prepared for the game. And walking off that field every week, he knew that there was nothing more that he could give in that part of his preparation and in that phase of getting ready for a game that he never left with any regrets. And I thought that was a really cool thing. to see a guy do that in person for 4 years. But loved every minute of being with him. Loved every nugget he gave me. Still lean on him quite a bit for all the things that he brings value-wise to me as a coach, as a person. But man, what a great resource that I get to have in him.
Yeah. Here's the last thing I want to ask you. I really haven't asked about defense, but is it fair to say, okay, look, the help has to be in the defensive secondary, and otherwise it's in pretty good shape?
Yeah. The defense has always been a strength here in Tennessee. It's something that even playing against them in Cincinnati, just always had a ton of respect for the way that those players played and how hard and how physical they were. That has to continue. We obviously have to add pieces on defense as well. We need more players there. But I think you guys are going to be really excited as a fan base to see what Denard Wilson's all about. And he is a fantastic football coach. He's young. He's energetic. He's had great experiences, great background in defending the pass, both in Philly and Baltimore. Really, really excited for what he's going to bring, the energy he's going to bring to our team. And I can't wait for everyone else to see it. But I have so much confidence in how good he's going to be for us. And I can't wait to see it happen on the field.
Okay, that's our interview yesterday with Titans head coach Brian Callahan. Kelly, one of the things that has become very obvious is that people in that building have found him to be very friendly. Now, that doesn't really, doesn't have anything to do with the wins and losses, but there appeared to be kind of a division in the building. The Vrabel people and apparently the non-Vrabel people. And Callahan seems to have been able to come in and just get along with everybody. That's one thing I've noticed right off the bat.
He seems like he's not a phony guy, and I'm not saying anybody else was phony. I'm just saying he seems like a very organic, no phoniness about him. He's been in the business forever, obviously, with his dad. He knows the game. He seems like he's a soft-spoken guy. Just wants to win games. It looks like he enjoys going through the process of doing all that stuff. He's at the combine, and that's some of the stuff I don't know if I could have dealt with. I had the opportunity a couple of times to go coach in the NFL. Right when I finished, my quarterback coach from the Browns asked if I wanted to go and be the quarterback coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I just wasn't ready for that yet. And I just don't know if I could, being a player and then going to a coach is a totally different deal. So he looks like he enjoys that. And if you're going to be a really good coach, you got to delve into that, and you can't be scared of it. Hey, everything he's done so far has been great. But we all know where that goes. I mean, you got to win on the field. It's all about productivity. And if you don't do it, then you're going to be not for long, as the NFL stands for in other circles.
Yes.
So we'll see how it goes. But I like him. I like what he's saying. He's been around great guys. You just asked him about Peyton. He's been around Joe Burrow. I think he can help Will Levis. I really do. So it's going to be interesting to see.
We're going to get into a lot of these issues in the next segment, but let me ask both of you this, and because this is what I think it all means, but it doesn't mean I'm right. It seems like in the whole Derrick Henry thing that it's sort of been left in a deep down, he wants to play for a contender, he wants to try to get a Super Bowl ring. And only if those things really cannot happen would he end up being a Titan again.
I think that's pretty fair. I really do. I think he's played for a long time. He's done everything you can do in this league except win a Super Bowl. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right, George. I don't know what's going to happen with Derrick Henry, and you're right about him being beloved by the city and everybody wants him back. But when it boils down to it, there's no collusion. Let's just go on about that. There's no collusion. It's just running backs are not like they used to be, and I say it every week. It seems like, but it's totally turned into a different league with throwing the football, with quarterbacks getting paid all this money, with receivers. The running back is kind of complementary to all that now. And if you got one that can do both, which Derrick Henry's a great runner, but like he's, in his pass routes and stuff, he's a bigger guy. So he's not like a Tyjae Spears. So I'm sure they would love to have him back, and I'm sure that they could make a place for him. But, obviously it's not high up on their list right now.
Yeah, I mean, you heard him talk about it with Derrick Henry. Like, if Derrick Henry were to stay a Titan next year, they would obviously find a role for him. And I think he even mentioned the fact that Henry may even be interested in a lighter workload. And I think, say, for example, he does go to a team like a Baltimore, I'm sure he would have to do that, because I think Derrick's in a spot where, he would sacrifice his numbers for a potential Super Bowl. The Titans just can't give him. They can give him a lighter workload maybe, but this team ain't winning a Super Bowl. So I think, you just look at that. But he also said Derrick's got the right to, do his part business-wise and do what's best for him. And, I mean, I think ultimately Derrick Henry will be at a team either like Baltimore or Buffalo potentially.
Kelly, here is the one area I agree with a lot of what you're saying on the running back position. But I will also throw in this one caveat. When you look a year and a half ago when the New York Giants got in the playoffs, Saquon Barkley is the real reason. When Barkley's around, the Giants have a chance, and Daniel Jones is a lot better with Saquon Barkley. And that was the point he was trying to make, that they blew off. And you know what? They weren't as good a year ago.
Totally agree. I mean, but when you look at both those side by side and compare both of them, Saquon Barkley can do, he doesn't have to come out on third down. Like if it's a total pass situation, he doesn't have to do that. I mean, he can go out and he can run option routes by a running back. He's the guy I played with, Marshall Faulk, was the best I've ever seen doing it. He was unbelievable at understanding coverage and reading defenses, and he could run the ball. And on third down, you could throw it to him. He was reliable like that. That's how Saquon Barkley is. And I'm with you. Saquon Barkley means so much to the New York Giants. I don't understand all that.
That's where it feels like collusion.
I agree. I mean, he's a different type of guy, and it's kind of like Adrian. Adrian could do it, but Adrian was more of a runner than a pass catcher. He wasn't the Marshall Faulk, the Saquon Barkley. He wasn't like that, and I think that's what Derrick Henry is. I mean, I don't think he's that guy. He's a runner. He can catch the ball, but he's not going to run routes, and he's not going to be heavily involved in the pass game unless he's back there blocking. But Saquon Barkley is a different deal. And I want to say something to Billy, though. Long time ago, I can remember going to Champaign, Illinois, and I was with the Indianapolis Colts, and we were scrimmaging the St. Louis Rams, and that's when they hired Trent Green, and Trent Green was going to be all this and all that. They had the Isaac Bruce, they had Torrey Holt, they had all those guys. Trent Green goes down. They weren't very good the year before. Trent Green goes down. Well, everybody says, and then they come back and they win the Super Bowl. So it can be done pretty fast in these days of free agency. If you can get some key figures, and with $90 million, is that what they got? $90 million they can spend? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is it that much?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, with the increase in the salary cap, which was, from what I'm hearing, about 10 to 12 million more than most people projected the increase to be.
And I'm not going to say that the Tennessee Titans are going to win the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it can be done fast. When you have that much money and you get some key cogs in the wheel, some key players at the right positions, you can turn that thing around really quick.
Okay, after the break, we'll react a little more to the Brian Callahan interview, including some talk right off the bat about him and Will Levis. At least in the early going, it seems really smooth, and I think that's a good thing.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
We're back, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Brian Callahan interview that you may have seen a few moments ago. Cincinnati is a big University of Kentucky market. There are a lot of UK grads up there. There's a lot of UK talk in the newspapers. It's only about an hour and a half away from Lexington. So I have no doubt that Brian Callahan was very aware of who Will Levis was, even though the Bengals were never going to be the one to draft him. And Kelly, I think that's a good thing because I think he knew some stuff walking into this about Levis.
Oh, he did his homework. You know that. I mean, before he took his job, when you're a coach nowadays and you're on the rumor mill of getting a job and you go interview for a job, as a coach, you have to look at who's at the quarterback position. Now you have to, because all these coaches they're thrown in there with the quarterback, and if you got one, just as Zach Taylor's done in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. I mean, that's who you want. You can build around that. Guy was a Heisman Trophy winner. He loves him. He likes him. He can be there for a long time if we can keep that going. And that was I think that was a big part. Brian Callahan talked about one of the things was a salary cap. There's a lot that you can do with $90 million, but another one is he obviously felt like this was a young quarterback, and I think I can do something with him. And like you said, absolutely. I mean, he knew what was going on. He knew about the University of Kentucky. He knew what Will Levis did there. So I think that was one of the big things that he looked at, and he said, hey, I can get this done at Tennessee, and we could be there for a long time. If I can get Will Levis to where I think he can go, if we can get him there, we could be there for a long time and win a lot of games and may have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
The reaction when Levis got drafted, Billy, as you know, was mixed. there was a big Tennessee faction saying Hendon Hooker's out there. He ultimately got picked by Detroit. And the sad thing for Hooker is I think he's going to be forced to sit a long time if it's Detroit, because I don't see anything changing in Jared Goff's status. Seems like he is firmly entrenched in Detroit. That said, I think even most of us who were uncertain about Levis, and I was for it. I was excited about it. But I think not that it was perfect, but the early start to it all, I thought gave people some hope.
Yeah, I mean, he you could tell he had a chip on his shoulder. There were a lot of people not in his corner said, "Oh my gosh, why'd we draft Will Levis?" You know, like you said, it was mostly Tennessee fans that saw him play awful against Tennessee, saw him play awful against Vandy. But his first year, everybody seemed to forget that first year at Kentucky under Liam Cohen, where he proved that he is a legit NFL prospect. So, but yeah, I mean, last year he didn't even play a full season, not even, I mean, half the season. And he proved enough, I think, that he has what it takes to take this team to the top. I mean, I don't like what else more? I mean, I get that, like Kelly, you kind of try to slow it down, let's relax. But
Still
I
got
mean,
to.
yeah, I mean, but I don't know that he could have shown any more than he did last year. With as bad of an offense that he was working with, the worst offensive line in the league. I mean, borderline no receivers. He had D-Hop and Traylon Burks. I mean, the Titans receiver room is
not
one of the worst in
exactly
the league.
Cincinnati Bengal receiver core.
No, and so I think that's a reason why Callahan came over, is because he saw that in Levis and he thinks he can work with that.
So Kelly, by virtue of 15 years in the NFL kind of stuff, even if I don't have the exact year right, and your work over the years, you're kind of a quarterback guru. If you got Levis in a room for 30 minutes, give me the stuff you'd tell him that in the off season he can be working on before he even really gets with Callahan.
Well, I've told you about his elbow. I mean, we've talked about fundamentals. He's got to learn to get his elbow up. I'm sure they'll work on that. I mean, some guys, Kurt Warner didn't get his elbow up, and he was a completion machine. So he threw the ball down the field quite a bit. I think you just got to go back to the basics when you come to the pros, because when you're in college, they work on that stuff, and then when you get to the pros, you get around a lot of coaches, which I don't think Callahan's going to be that guy, but I was around a lot of coaches that didn't do the fundamentals when you got there. They just expected you to learn that stuff and to know that stuff. And sometimes that's not how that stuff works. And you always got to work on it. And that's the good thing about Peyton. Brian coached with him, and he coached him, and he was around him. But that was a good thing about Peyton. I can remember, man, the guy took so many notes. As Bruce talked about the other day, he took so many notes. But he would always watch himself, and he would have an honest evaluation of himself. And he was like, I need to work on my footwork. I need to work on my 3-step pump and, shuffling back or something like that. And Peyton was always working on that stuff. And he would always have somebody go out there with him to film him so that he could see exactly what he was doing. That's what you have to do as a quarterback. He needs to you need to go back and you need to ask the film guys. And it's so much easier now, but you ask the film guys, like, I want to see my completions all in one cut up, and then I want to see my incompletions in another cut up. Well, when you look at your incompletions, well, why did I incomplete that ball? Was it my feet? Did I just not have enough time? Should I have been looking somewhere where I wasn't looking? You have to look at all that stuff, George, and that's what the offseason is about. There's things that he can work on. He's got a really good touch with downfield throws, that's not easy to do. I wasn't very good with that, and I can remember Jim Harbaugh helping me with that. But there's things that you can work on each and every year to get better. You always have to take those notes of yourself and have an honest evaluation and say, where can I get better? And I think that's where Brian Callahan will certainly help him.
How did Harbaugh help you in the touch ball? Because you know as well as I do, we've spent an entire football season talking about the fact that a quarterback at the University of Tennessee can't do that. He's got the strongest arm this side of, Nova Scotia, but can't put any air under it.
Well, there was a drill that we used to start every day when I was with Indianapolis, and I was with Jim Harbaugh. Lindy Infante was our coach. He's gone now, but Lindy was a smart guy. And every day we would start off with warming the quarterbacks up and the receivers up, where we would take a 3-step drop and we'd throw the ball. The receiver would just take off down the field, and he would take off running, and you would have to put some touch on the ball and hit him in stride. And I could never do it. I was always behind him. And Jim says, hey, I'm going to tell you exactly something that Al Davis told me. He was like, when you're throwing the deep ball, you don't want to look at the ball. There's a lot of kids and a lot of guys when I coach, when they release the ball, they look up at the ball. Well, you don't need to look up at the ball. Look at your receiver. And then once the ball is out of your hand, you have no more control, then you can look at the ball. But a lot of guys look straight up at the ball instead of looking at their receiver. And once I started doing that in Indianapolis with that stupid little drill, I started throwing it in the perfect spot every time. And I'm like, Harbaugh was the one that showed me that. And Al Davis was the one that showed him that, because Jim had trouble doing it as well. So, things like that, just something that's simple like that can help a guy tremendously with deep ball throws. And Will Levis is really good at that. And a lot of guys aren't.
Okay, I want to get both of y'all in on this one, because I'm just guessing that everybody thinks this one through. When it got out that Brian Callahan was coming here, and the rumor almost immediately was his dad is going to join him, he did the right thing at the press conference and was very tight-lipped, and he's under contract to another team. But I know I sat there and listen, my dad's been gone now just over 14 years. And I can tell you there's not a day goes by that I don't think about him. We were very close. But, I've asked myself, how would this have worked if we'd worked together? And, I've come to the we'd have killed each other. We'd have absolutely driven each other crazy. Have you all thought, when you heard that, have you all thought that at all?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I don't think I could work, much less basically be my dad's boss. But it does. I think Brian, growing up in football, being around his dad, probably helped a lot. Brian probably, he was with him every day, I would guess, especially when he's younger, summer, going to practice, stuff like that, training camp. So I think it's a little bit different when you are in a football family and, your dad's a coach. But yeah, that would be weird from my standpoint, not really growing up into a football family with your dad being a coach.
Kelly, have you seen the movie Draft Day?
I have.
I don't think it's a bad movie. In the movie, Kevin Costner, the GM, admits to the girlfriend that he had to fire his father, who was the coach, because his mom asked him to keep him alive. And that's the other thing I thought about, is there are so many dynamics to that.
I would not have. I could not do that with my father. Absolutely not. We would be at each other's throats. Although Billy just said it. It's different. His dad is one of the great offensive line coaches of the National Football League and of many years, and he was a head coach. So I think that's a different dynamic right there. When you've got a guy that is your dad. He's been around the NFL. You grew up around the NFL. You've been in locker rooms your whole life. You grew up around star type players, and you've got a guy that you can lean on that is going to be in your building now, who you know what he's going to do. You know how he coaches. You know his style. You can let him go down there and do that, and then you can go and he's in there watching film one night, and you can go, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about this?" And I don't know if you'll call him Dad in the building. I don't know how that works. Maybe it's Bill. I don't know.
Mr. Callahan. Please come to Mr. Callahan's office.
I don't know how that works. I'll be honest with you. But you can just go down there and say, hey, we got this going on. Like, did you have this kind of situation when you were coaching, when you were the head coach? How should I handle this? What should I think that's a really cool deal that they're going to have. But I can't say that it would have been for me.
Billy, one of the problems, Dad he's the only person that ever called me Georgie. What's going on, Georgie? And,
Coach
I don't
Dad.
think that would have gone well over the loudspeaker.
I can
Coach
call you that.
Blaster?
I can call you that from now on, George. If that makes you feel better, I can call you Georgie.
Do not. He could get away with it. Let's see what we got here. Ryan, you're a little too worried about what it is I'm wearing. Okay? Let's
We all are.
chill out a little bit. Get a life. Who gives a damn what I'm wearing? Let's go to the break, and we'll be back. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Top of the hour on a Wednesday. Time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5 and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, we're going Preds today.
Oh, Lord.
Roman Josi has 172 career goals, which is third most among active NHL defensemen, behind what two players?
Kelly. Why don't we turn this one over to Gee?
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is our best way out of this one. I'm trying to. Hello, Gee. How are you?
Okay. Oh no, I don't know. I'm trying to think myself right now.
Okay, let's read it again. Roman Yossi,
Yeah,
the captain, or as our friendly PA announcer goes, I may have to back off the mic on this one. Your captain, Roman. Okay, yeah, well, whatever.
yeah, we got that. Yeah.
Okay. Has 172 career goals. That's third most among active NHL defensemen. Behind what two players?
Active NHL defenseman.
Yeah. Now,
okay.
not that my knowledge of defensemen around the league is very good. I don't pretend that it is. Are you passing on it as well?
I think so right now. Yeah, I haven't really thought about this one. Yeah.
Okay, Billy, go.
Brent Burns and Eric Carlson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kelly, we could have been
Carlson,
here till midnight.
Carlson I was thinking of. Carlson I was thinking of, but Burns I wouldn't have got.
Kelly?
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten either of them.
You would not have gotten it in August. we could have gone from now to August. Okay. Let's get Guy in here to talk a little Preds. Clearly, the last 2 weeks has made a massive change in what's going on over there, because 2 weeks ago, I said they're dead. I believed it. I think a lot of you believed it as well. And lo and behold, some things happened, and boom, a 6-game winning streak has them firmly in the 8th and final playoff spot and nipping at the heels of the Kings to be the 7. They both have the same number of points, as we'll show you in a few minutes. Guy, you and I are the two that probably ought to talk this, because when Barry Trotz came to town the first time, both of us got to know him very well. And when he got hired as GM, it was my feeling that one of the things he would immediately fix was this absolute locker room. John Hines was, to probably no fault of his own, running a halfway house. And in my mind, the biggest problem in that house was Matt Duchene. So what does Trotz come in and do? He gets Duchene the hell out of here and basically tries to send the message, I expect professionalism, I expect effort. For the most part this year, he had been getting that, but I'm guessing you could have fried an omelet on him 2 weeks ago after the Dallas game, when he discovered that the players were all about U2 and going out to Vegas early. What I like is it seems like the message has gotten clear to the locker room that he's not going to put up with any crap.
Oh yeah, I mean they came back. Not only was the U2 thing, but they came back from the All-Star game like they were still at Compass and Lucas or something. I mean, on the beach, they were very vacation minded, not really playing much hockey at the time. The U2 thing was just the 9-2 debacle against Dallas was just icing on the cake with the U2 thing looming up. So yeah, it was kind of a combination of things. They came back from break and not really thinking they were going to be a playoff team the way they came out.
As best as you know, who told Trotz about this Vegas problem?
Well, I don't think anybody had to tell him. I think he knew about it. I mean, he knew that I think that you could just tell by the players they weren't thinking about anything else much from that standpoint. I don't know. Some of the players I think really were excited about it. I think some players weren't all that concerned one way or the other. So, but I think what got Trotz was the fact here's a team that's really struggled, and all they're worried about is whether they're going to be able to leave St. Louis right after the game and get the extra day in Las Vegas. Regardless of how that game went, St. Louis, of course, they win it. But still, I mean, I think that's what concerned him was the mindset of the team was, we just want that extra day in Vegas. We don't care. I think that was what really threw him off more than anything. The trip had long been planned. it'd been long in the works they were going to do this. So it was not like a surprise thing or anything. But I just think that it was the attitude, not necessarily, oh, we want to see you too. I just think it was the attitude of we want a day off. We want just enjoy ourselves, and we don't care how we played on the ice. I think that's what he was seeing.
I heard a stat last night that really tells me a lot about what's going on in the last 6 games, because through most of the season, and to be honest, the last couple of years, it's all been about the first line doing all the scoring. Whether it was Forsberg, Duchesne, whoever, it was all very first line. Most of this year, it had been very first line. But in this 6-game winning streak, 15 different people have scored goals. And for the Preds, man, that hadn't happened. I can't remember when it's happened. Whatever the formula is, if they could keep that up, it'd be really good.
Well, it came close earlier in the season with a lot of players that were contributing. We were talking about depth on the show. There was some score depth showing up, and then all of a sudden it dropped off again. The depth, always the potential to score on the second, third, fourth lines was there. It just wasn't happening. So, yeah, and hockey's more than just one player or one line. And one thing was happening with the Predators kind of forced this a little bit was teams were because of that depth drop off for a while, teams were just saying, okay, we'll concentrate on that front line and knock them out, and because we don't think anything's going to happen on the second, third, fourth line. Now they can't think that way anymore.
So, Guy, I'm going to show the standings right now because last night was an absolute gold mine for the Predators. Yes, they win in their game against Ottawa. The Kings lose in, as Crispy would say, Calgary. The Blues get beat in Winnipeg, and Minnesota gets beat at home to Carolina. And I'm sitting there in the third period. Predators have theirs, looks like pretty safe. And I keep looking at the auxiliary scoreboard, which is showing me every couple of minutes what's going on with St. Louis and Minnesota. When you look at these standings, there's now a much better than 50% shot that they're getting in the playoffs.
Yeah, they got 6 points. They got 6 points on the Blues and the Wild right now, both. And interesting game coming up this week. I mean, coming up against the Wild, so that's going to be to see what happens there. So yeah, it's theirs to take.
Okay, so help me with this, and then I'll let Kelly take the rest of it. I won't take all the thunder. 2 weeks ago, Barry Trott's best case scenario was that they would be perhaps close to 8th place, but there couldn't have ever been in his wildest dreams we're 5 points ahead of anybody, Calgary, 6 points ahead of the Blues in Minnesota. I mean, this has to have him going, okay, what do I do at the trade deadline? So what do you think he does?
That's interesting you asked that question, because just a while back, just the last hour or two, he talked to The Athletic and said, a few weeks ago, I was a seller. I was on the phone ready to sell. He goes, with this 6-game win streak, not so much. He said, now I'm figuring out what am I going to do? Where do I go from here with this? What do I get? Who do I move just to help us out or whatever? And one of those that's not going to be moved, he was pretty emphatic about it today, was you forget about UC Saros going anywhere. It's not going to happen. So he's here to stay. And we talked about this the other day on the phone. I think maybe this stretch here has convinced them to keep Saros without any problems. But I think they basically tries to say it was completely off limits, but pretty much said, I'm pretty safe to say he's going to be our goaltender the rest of the year.
So, Kelly, I'm going to help you with this because you're always saying I steal the questions.
Here we go again, George. Build a bridge and get over that. I said it one time. Gracious.
Here's what you need to ask him. Okay, if short term he's not selling Saros,
That's where I was going. I mean, if he's
go.
not
What
going
does
to
it
do
mean long term?
I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, if he's not going to get rid of him now, does that mean that they're going to buck up and pay him all that money next year? What's your thoughts?
Well, he's got one more year at $5 million. So then he's got one more season at $5 million, which is a pretty much bargain situation. Then they have to negotiate. And talk is that he would want 5 years, 6 years at we're talking about something in the $60 million package range. And do you want to give him that? He's going to be a little bit older. You got Yaroslav Askarov waiting and just can't wait to come up to the Predators. He's done everything he can do in Milwaukee, and so this is going to be an interesting situation. And a lot of people are saying, okay, they don't trade Saros during the trade deadline situation, but maybe in the offseason a deal comes up. I don't say that he's completely off the shelf, but and they're very worried. He said, it's safe to say he's going to be our goaltender. Safe to say he's going to be here this year, rest of this year. So you're not saying forever. We're just saying the rest of this year. So
if you're the GM, I mean, you put your GM cap on. What are you going to do with him? Are you going to keep him? Are you going to buck up and pay that money? Or are you going to give the young guy in Milwaukee a chance?
Well, somebody calls me on the phone as GM and says, I'll give you a first-round draft pick this year, first-round draft pick next year, a second-round draft pick next year. One of our top prospects is a forward with a lot of upscale scoring situation there, and also one of our top second-line forwards, not necessarily top line, but second-line forward that can score. I'm thinking, maybe I do move him. So that's my thought process on that. But nobody's going to give him that package. I mean, he asked that for New Jersey almost. New Jersey said, "No, we need a goaltender, but not that. We can't do that." So the word is he offered that that's what he told New Jersey it would take. And New Jersey's still in the market for a goaltender right now. So, and I think it was too rich for New Jersey. So it's going to be too rich for most teams, I think.
So let me ask you this. I'm sure you probably already said it. I had to go find something in my house that was beeping, that was annoying the trash out of me. And I'm sure you've already answered this, but they've got a 6-game winning streak. What are they doing good right now, and what do they need to work on?
They don't need to work on anything right now. They're playing well. How do you improve on perfection right now? They're doing everything they do. Like George was saying, that their scoring depth is awakened finally again, and that's important. Saros seems like he's back on track, and defensively they seem to be finding their situation. They have finally got into the into Burnett's system, under Burnett's system, the way it needs to be. And so right now, I don't touch them. I mean, they're doing. Let them keep on going right now. They've got a little challenge coming up, but but I think that with the Wild coming up on Thursday, the Avalanche are coming up on Saturday. That kind of gets a little bit better with the Canadians and the Sabres coming in the last couple of games on that road. But then they go on the road against Columbus, which should be a win. They're going to play the Wild again on the road, then play the Jets and the Kraken, or neither one are pushovers. So the Jets are probably going to wind up being Central Division champion right now, the way things are looking. So it's a rough road ahead. So
I got you. So let me ask you this. I think I read somewhere, and if I'm wrong, I think I saw where in the third period last night, the Predators had 19 shots on goal, and the Senators didn't have any. Is that correct?
I think that's right. Yes, but the Senators outshot.
How did that happen?
27.
Yeah, how does that happen, Guy?
The defense shut them down. It happens in games, but the Senators had outshot them the first two periods, like 27-14 or something like that. I can't. Oh, my number's right in front of me, but I was getting up with the last night.
Isn't the real answer that in day 2 of a back-to-back that Ottawa just ran out of gas?
That's a lot of it too, and one thing about Brady Tkachuk, their captain, I mean, Searles stopped him 5 times, and Kachuk's a very good player, and Searles stopped him every time he faced him. So yeah, it was plus Ottawa lost a player in the second period, and I think that changed their style a little bit too. So, but so yeah, I mean, right now they're playing the way they're supposed to play. And, they're playing about as well as anybody right now. So they need to keep this going. Now, I think, like I said, the next 2 games are going to be a challenge. The Wild game's a huge game as far as expanding that distance between the 2 teams, and and then the Avalanche is coming in, and they're always tough to play against. They're the top 2 right now in the division. So it's going to be top 3 with Dallas. And Winnipeg, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough weekend. When they get through that, they got 2 games they should win after that, and then on this road trip, they won't. If they go 4-0 this next road trip, I'll say, yeah, give them the cup because of the way they're playing.
Guy, last question for you. What I keep reading in some of these articles, man, like Michael McCarron, like how big of an unsung hero is he? I mean, I don't think he's like probably the greatest guy. He's not like, he doesn't have the name of Roman Yossi or Philip Forsberg, but like he's leading this line that he's got. I mean, even Andrew Burnett talked about it, how he's kind of spurring this thing on. I think I heard when I came back in, you talking about the lines where everybody concentrates on the first line, but now they got to concentrate on all the lines. How big of an unsung hero is Michael McCarron?
Oh, he's a huge one. He has been for a long time. He does a lot of things well, and he also can be a real force physically for you as well. He's not ashamed to do. He's not afraid to exert himself on the ice when he needs to, from the standpoint of being physical. So, he's one of those guys that just does everything well, and he doesn't call a lot of attention to himself, but he's a solid all around player. He gives them over everything. So he's kind of like a Tommy Novak type player. So it's interesting. That's a player that a lot of people talk about might be traded. Tommy Novak. So, but McCarron has always been kind of like he's there, and everybody, people who cover hockey appreciate what he does, but he doesn't have that star factor, unfortunately. So, he deserves it.
Okay, Guy. Last question for you, and this one is a little bit of a hand grenade. One side of me, the fan who loves playoff hockey, because one thing I learned is there are very few things in sports cooler than playoff hockey. So I have a real desire to see this team get in, because playoff
second
hockey.
Season.
Yeah. Okay. The fan in me is really pumped. Man, like that, all of a sudden the Red Sea has parted. But the cynical side of me is saying, wait a minute, hold on here. This is a team that has been decent, but certainly has not been at this level. Is this streak fool's gold?
Well, this team does not have the tools to go deep in the playoffs. This team is playing about as well as it can play at this point with what they have. They're kind of like the St. Louis Blues. Both teams are playing with this. They're getting everything out of their teams that they can. But are they going to be if they make both the Blues or Predators make the playoffs? Are they going to go deep? I mean, the Blues have done it before and surprised everybody. But it's really I don't think either one of those teams can do that. And right now, the Los Angeles Kings are so confused, and they act like they have no idea what they're doing. They've lost their confidence, and they seem to not understand the system anymore. So that's a team that you don't know what's going to happen with them as well. So I don't know. It's been a weird season as far as that goes. A lot of teams have played well and not played well, and I mean, even teams like the Avalanche, people were saying, well, they're not quite what they were before. Tampa Bay's down fighting for a wild card spot over in the East. So it's just been a weird. Red Wings look like they may make the playoffs. Philadelphia Flyers look like they may make the playoffs. Anybody bet on them beginning the season to make the playoffs is going to make a lot of money because the odds were probably ridiculous that they could do that. And so it's just been a strange season. You look at these stretches of games, like I say, if they go 3-2 in this homestand at worst, and then go 2-2 on the road at worst, they should still be in pretty good shape. But it's a rough little stretch here they got coming up after this. But they had a rough road trip. I mean, you think about it, they played some pretty tough teams on that road trip and won. So it's just going to see how it all works out.
Okay, here comes the fan in me question. Yes, the cynical part of me, or the part that's a realist, says to myself, look, if this team gets in, that's the victory. They're not going very far. But then there's the fan in me saying, wait a minute, weren't we saying the same thing in 2017 when they opened as an 8 seed in Chicago, eked out a 1-0 victory when Pecorine stopped 150 million shots in that game, stood on his head, and then the Predators blasted the Blackhawks in game 2, and all of a sudden everybody's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Oh, it's possible. Getting the playoffs, anything can happen. Like, it's the second season. It's the second, you got teams that are worn down through the length of the season and injuries and that type of thing. And it's just who gets that second wind, when the playoffs come around. It's the toughest trophy to win in sports, the Stanley Cup. It's the biggest challenge physically, mentally, of any trophy in any sport. And I'll argue that with anybody.
Guy, I agree with you. Great stuff. Thank you for doing this, as always.
I'm glad to do it. Thank you so much, George.
Mark McGee joining us to talk Preds. After the break, we'll bat it around a little bit. What is the real Preds? Is this fool's gold, or are they starting to find a groove that could make April really interesting? Stay with us. The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen printed t-shirts, laser engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. If you're watching this and you're saying, George, you're all over the map. 2 weeks ago, they were dead. Now they're alive, and you're just, well, you're right. Okay? There's a little bit too much fan in me at times trying to evaluate them. And I'll admit, guys, I can't figure them out. It was one thing. I mean, the St. Louis win was really nice. And, it was the start of this winning streak. But when they went to Vegas and dominated the first two periods, I'll admit I fell asleep in the third, but they were up, I think, 4-1 at the end of two periods. You can argue Vegas is as good a team as there is in the league. And whenever I fell asleep, it was with this, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, you can't really argue the Preds have played, they haven't played anybody. Because, I mean, those first two games, Vegas and L.A.
Vegas, St. Louis, then L.A.
Or Vegas, St. Louis, and L.A. All three of those teams are potential playoff teams. Vegas definitely is. L.A. and will be. St. Louis, we'll see. But, it's not like they've been beating chopped liver. Now, the Sharks and the Ducks are not very good. Probably the two worst teams in the league. But then I think last night you proved a little bit. The Senators are not an awful team. I think Thursday against Minnesota is a big prove it, because if Minnesota wins, George, correct, that's 2 points. That would 2 points for a win, right? And Minnesota is at 62. So that would bump them, and the Preds, if they lost, they don't get any. So
Kelly,
68 to 64,
yes,
this
right.
is Minnesota needs this.
It's a 4-game game because it could be 70 to 62 or it could be 68 to 64.
Yeah.
Kelly, this is one of the little dynamics in hockey down the stretch, is that when you play somebody that's in the mix with you, you want to win in regulation where they don't get any points.
Yeah.
And at worst, you want to go to overtime, even if you've sucked. You want to somehow get to overtime where no matter what, you get a point.
Yeah, this point stuff is it's kind of crazy to me. And another thing that's crazy to me is how the Predator. I know it'll all catch up at the end, but like they play 60 games, then the Kings, the Kraken, the Blues, the Blues have played 58 games, so they still got two more games. They're ahead 2 more games. I don't quite understand how that goes in scheduling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's where you can't, when you have different amount of games, you can't totally look at the points, because, the Preds will be done, but teams below them still have some games to play.
But here's one thing to think about. It's easy to say, well, okay, put that thing back up there. If St. Louis, they've played 2 less games. So you say, okay, they win them and they go to 66. But later in the season, as you start playing a lot more games in your division, only one team's going to get the 2 points. So when St. Louis and Minnesota play each other, only one of them's going to get 2. The other's either going to get 1 or zippo. And so that becomes a weird dynamic. Like Calgary, okay, all of a sudden they're the one on the radar closest to Nashville. And all of a sudden for the LA Kings, they're sitting there going, where the hell did Nashville come from?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
right. And I
crazy
don't know.
stuff about this.
Yeah, George, and I don't know. Like you just asked that question about you don't know how like 2 weeks ago you said they were out of it. I can remember being in the NFL, and we would have a terrible week of practice, but then on Sundays, the coaches were all worried we didn't do anything right, and then on Sundays we play lights out. And then I've been in situations where we practiced great the whole week and then went out on Sunday or a Monday night and stunk the place up. Like there's no rhyme or reason. I can't understand it. Y'all talked about Barry Trotz finding out what was going on with those guys going to Vegas and doing all that. And then he stuck a prod. There's nothing better than a GM or something coming in there and looking you in the eye and say, you're being evaluated right now. And if you don't pick it up, you're out of here. And I don't know if that's what was said, but that's been said to me before. And it's kind of a scary situation because it's always better to have a bird in the hand than two in the basket. And it's always better to be on a team right now where then they let you go at the end of the season. And if you're not a high name guy, you never know what's going to happen to your career. So, hey, kudos to Barry Trotz for doing that. If that's what's got these guys playing better.
Yeah, and here's another interesting thing about the NHL. Most seasons, there's usually not a clear-cut team out there you can say, okay, that team's winning the Stanley Cup this year. I mean, maybe you can't, but I mean, the one year you look at it, and what was it when was it last year the Bruins lost after that historic
to the
season
Florida Panthers,
to the 8 seed Florida Panthers. So that's a good comment there.
Well, here's what's interesting, Billy. If you were to somehow just magically right now put up the NBA standings and show me who is number 1 in the East and who is number 8, and if they play, what's going to happen? Very seldom does the 8 even sniff a chance at the number 1. But in hockey, and I don't pretend to know why it is, Kelly, other than the goaltender dominates so much of what's really going to go on that a goaltender who's out of his mind can elevate a team way beyond what they truly are. And I guess it can go the other way where if your goaltender suddenly decides to suck, he can take a really good team and just go boom.
Absolutely. That's why all those goaltenders get paid all that money. It's just like in the NFL, why the quarterbacks get paid all that money because it goes through them. They touch the ball every time. If you get a goaltender that's hot, it just seems to me with keeping up with this. I mean, if you're not very good, but he's stopping pucks, you got to score to win. And that's why all those guys get paid like they do. So if you get one that gets hot at the right time, and I'm sure he can take you a long way, even to a Stanley Cup title.
What's weird, Billy, is that a year ago, as they were kind of muddling to whatever the end really was, and you knew there were locker room issues. Look, I knew it. Everybody covering them knew it. But while all that was going on, UC went through about a 4-month stretch where he was out of his mind good. And he's been hot and cold this year. He's been really good during this streak, obviously. But if they ever got him to that ridiculous level that he was a year ago, we could have some fun.
Yeah, I think that's what's scary about the Preds. UC Saros, you've got that secret weapon. There aren't a lot of NHL teams that have a goalie with as high of a ceiling as UC Saros. I mean, he won the Vezina. Like he's one of the best in the league. You could argue he is the best at times when he plays. So if you get UC Saros playing really well at the right time in the playoffs, you never know, and you can always talk yourself into a playoff run in hockey. And no matter what seed you are. I mean, and the Preds have proof in the pudding, being an 8 seed, sweeping the Blackhawks. I mean, who would have ever thought that would have happened?
Not me. That was the knocking down of their Berlin Wall. By the way,
they tore their kingdom down.
One of the cool things about sports, if we're all honest with each other, is right about the time you are certain you know in sports.
You don't.
Something will happen that shows you don't know. That's the beauty of sports. So going into last night, we're going to review it here in a minute. I have watched Texas Tech 3 or 4 times in the last month, and when they've been at home, they have been a holy terror with sellout crowd after sellout crowd fueling it. Help me here, Billy. They've beaten Kansas at home.
Yep.
They've beaten
I don't know exactly. They've had a
TCU
lot
at
of
home.
big wins.
They've had a lot of big wins at home. So if you said to me, hey, I'm going to burst your little bubble, Texas will be up on them in Lubbock by 30. When I looked at that decrepit phone of mine in the middle of the Preds game, and I see that Texas, it's 70-41. And I'm like, Kelly's going to make a fool out of me.
And I think your other one didn't pan out either, did it?
No, it didn't. Now let's review. Let's review.
Tough
and
night.
Understand up front, Kelly is enjoying this.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Bart Durham injury log. Give him a call, 615-242-9000 or
Not
log
much
on
of a teammate.
to bartdurham.com. Here we go. Let's check out what happened last night.
Oh, God.
LSU didn't cover the 4.5 against Georgia.
No. They only won by 1, right?
Let me ask you this. Were they ever up a significant amount?
I didn't watch.
Yeah. Oh, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech,
Yeah.
that was an ugly scene last night. They let that get way out of hand.
So help me. The Texas kid sort of did a hockey style riding the Tech kid into the sideline.
Yeah. It was the Texas player basically.
And Texas Tech's pissed off. They're down 30 and they don't expect that.
Yeah.
And they hate Texas.
Yeah. But the student section, there were bottles thrown on the court.
Not good.
And that's the bad part about games like that. You just hope you don't see it. But like we said with court storms, there's certain things that you're not going to be able to stop students from doing.
Am I right?
They should have stormed the court.
Well, I thought they were about to because they were. I mean, that was.
Are you celebrating the fact you're down 30?
Didn't
the head coach at Tech take to the microphone and say, "Stop this! Stop it now"?
He might have. I wouldn't be surprised. It was ugly. I mean, go back and watch some of that. There was bottles everywhere. It was, and of course, that's all the frustration.
You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
I've been in one of them situations when we played the Jacksonville Jaguars in Cleveland, and we had a bad call there towards the end of the game. And I was watching folks. I went to the middle of the field because there were folks throwing beer bottles from the top row.
Oh,
crazy.
Gosh.
I will say this: as much as I love Tiger Stadium, my first visit there was as a sideline announcer, and it was not safe. It was not safe at all.
Why?
Well, because a game that LSU looked like they had handily, Vanderbilt makes a late comeback and is within less than a touchdown, gets the ball back, and all of a sudden the bottles start flying.
Oh, my. You're playing Vanderbilt.
Drinky winky.
It just means more.
Well, yeah, apparently it does. Okay, so tonight, Kelly, in an attempt to rehabilitate.
Stop sucking. How about doing that? Just stop sucking. Like
we have
figure it out and gain some guys some cash. You know what I'm saying?
We have 5 picks tonight.
5.
5.
Oh, wow.
Go, Billy.
Tennessee.
They're at home. You know what? They're at home. This will be a really emotional deal. Auburn's good. They're a lot better at home. Who isn't? You'll notice, by the way, I'm about through taking road teams because road teams aren't winning enough. I don't know what it means, but I'm going to say Tennessee covers this against Auburn.
Got to remember, last year was a 46-43 rock fight. I mean, low scoring.
In Knoxville.
Tight game. Yeah, in Knoxville. So.
Boy, I don't see that. Here's one that won't go over real well. Murray State's the home team. Neither one of them have been upper, near the top of the Missouri Valley. They're both sort of in the middle. This is a big game for both of them. I'm simply going home team.
Is this at Murray? Okay.
Yeah. Third one, also a home deal. Western Kentucky in Hilltopper, in Diddle Arena.
Diddle Arena.
Yes. Are they better than La Tech? Apparently Vegas does not think so. I do. I'm all that matters because then I have to face him the next day when it bombs. Number 4, UAB, I think, is considerably better than Wichita State. Man, I saw Wichita State Sunday, and they sucked. They got beat by Temple.
Oh, gosh.
And so now they go to Birmingham. UAB's pretty good.
Yeah.
Andy Kennedy
He's
does
done
a
a
nice
great job.
They win that game by more than 7.5. And finally, check this one out. Yeah.
Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy, because, Kelly, this is where all the stuff stops on Ole Miss. This is the put up or shut up night for Ole Miss.
Okay. We'll see.
And I believe there's something better to Ole Miss than we've seen recently. South Carolina waxed them in Oxford Saturday. Chris Beard, I'll guarantee you, has been all over their butt. They will come out really emotional tonight. If they survive an early onslaught, they're taking this to the wire and they're going to cover. Don't ask me if they're going to win.
Yeah, I like the cover.
I've written all this down, George. So we're going to keep up with this tonight there, big dog, because you have sucked up until this point.
Nice attitude on your front. Way to be a great teammate.
I didn't say I was your teammate now. You know what I'm saying?
No, you know what? You're behind me, win or tie. That's all it is. Kelly, improve your attitude. I'll see you tomorrow.
Tell Billy to improve his.
Billy, improve your attitude. See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Grow up, Kelly.
Great way to end it.
See ya.